Welcome to Veronica Live. And I had to have one of my very good Republican friends join me today. And we've actually been talking and doing politics for 10 years. Her name's Barbara, and she's going to just go by Barbara today. But Barbara lives down in the Villages most of the year and is a huge Republican. And so, you know, Barbara, we've had so many conversations over the years. I'm like, we need to share our conversations with the world because we're double trouble, you know?
That's true, Veronica.
Well, welcome to Veronica Live, and I think the hottest issue that everybody's talking about is that this Thursday, our poop in his pants president is going to be debating our former president, Donald Trump, and everybody's talking about the debate. So I wanted to get your take on it, you know, because you're down in the Villages most of the time. And do you feel like everybody supports Trump mostly down in the Villages?
I think so, absolutely. But what is just interesting to me about this debate coming up is when they are having it. Okay, so this Thursday is the 27th, right? June 27th.
Right.
So what are most people doing in June?
We're traveling.
They're going on vacation. They're traveling. They're going on vacation. So I think one of the interesting things is how many people are really going to tune in, number one. Number two, it's kind of close to 4th of July. It's not 4th of July weekend, but, you know, because the kids go back to school in early August, June and this time of year, June and July are heavy travel. Number one. Number two, are they having it this early because they want to maybe see how Biden does and maybe at the convention they insert someone else? I just think that it's very interesting, the timing of it. I think that, of course, I think everyone I've talked to agrees that this whole debate has been set up for Biden to succeed. Agreed?
I agree. And and I put this on X today, you know, because I was in X for a week. Last week I was finally back, and I had withdrawals when I was in X jail supporting Netanyahu. But why does it take somebody, Barbara, that's been doing politics for 40 plus years a week to prepare? And I put on X, I thought he was a savvy politician. So why does he have to prepare for a week when it's on CNN with Jake Tapper and Dana Bash? So it's on, I call them Communist News Network. So it's on your liberal network, and you know they're going to throw softball questions to him. Why does it take him a week to prepare for this when he's been doing this his entire life?
Right. But the current job he has, let's say, is, you know how for what has it been, a year, two, ever since he's been in office, every time we all wonder who's really running the country, because it's really not him.
Yes, right? I agree.
Right. Okay. Well, so I did some digging today, knowing I was going to be speaking with you, and you know, so that, have you ever looked up Anita Dunn? So Anita Dunn is his senior advisor, who she used to work for Obama. And she is also is one of the founding partners of SKDK. You know SKDK?
I think I've heard of that before.
Okay. That is a public affairs and political consulting firm, which the new, what's his name, help me out here, the new press secretary or communications, Tyler, what's that guy's name?
Oh, Tyler Cherry.
Tyler Cherry. Well, guess what? Tyler Cherry used to work for SKDK.
Oh, my gosh.
Tyler Cherry in 2020 worked for the Arizona Democratic Party. For 3 years, he worked for the Democratic lobbying firm SKDK, which is the top Biden-connected consulting firm.
Well, and for people that don't know, this broke yesterday, and we'll get back to the debate, but we've got to talk about darling Tyler Cherry. He has been announced he's the new White House Associate Communications Director, and the man has wanted to abolish police. He's also wanted to or he supports Hamas. He's a pro-Hamas person. And oh, by the way, he's all over there. He's gay, which I don't care, right? But there's all these pictures of him in like a dress with his partner and like inappropriate pictures. Like if you and I were running and going to go work for a president and somebody posted pictures of this, of you and me, and he looks like a Weird Al Yankovic, like this would be a problem, Barbara. I mean, the guy is obviously a creep. And how can you have somebody as a communication? And this is my expertise. This is what I did in the military. This is what I've done in the civilian sector. I'm a trained individual, but I'm not supporting pro-Hamas. I'm trying to defund the police. And then it came out on his on all his social media that, you know, my previous statements are not reflective of the position I'm holding. Total creeper. I mean, I'm talking total creeper. The pictures. If you Google Tyler Cherry, you're going to throw up. So well, great. Well, great. This is. I don't know. X is like such a great place now. The morality of this administration has gone to hell in a handbasket. It's constantly Lesbian Visibility Week. It's been Pride Month. You know, the Health and Human Services was a man that's now a woman. We had the nuke guy that stole the woman's luggage. He was crazy. So that's what I wrote on one of my exes. I was like, how long does it take till he steals my luggage? I mean, I hate to be mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sorry we got off on the debate, but how that happened is because when we were talking about the debate and why does it take him a week to prepare? Because he really doesn't run the country. He does. Yeah. He's a puppet. He's whatever anyone is telling him to do. Yes, and really one of the key players with this is Anita Dunn, and it's part of this whole group, which includes this Tyler Cherry. And interestingly enough, just on a sidebar, this SKDK, this public affairs and political consulting firm, was hired by TikTok, hired them. So remember when Donald Trump was president and he tried to get TikTok banned, which should have happened, by the way.
Right, because it belongs to China.
Exactly. Well, TikTok hired SKDK about a year ago, spent millions and billions of dollars with them on lobbying efforts to try, of course, not to get TikTok banned. Now, as you know, the Senate approved a bipartisan bill which empowered Biden to restrict or ban TikTok. Mm-hmm. We will see what happens with this. But this all goes back to who is really running the country. It's not really Joe Biden. And you know what, Veronica? The people that watch this debate and the people, we need everyone, obviously, we need everyone to go and vote because that's where we have some power. That's what we can do. How many times do people say, well, I don't pay attention because I can't do anything about it? I said, no. You can do something about it. You can vote. So the point is, when people watch this debate, just think about what all has happened since the day that Biden took office. Do we really want another 4 years with that?
Okay, Barbara,
of that?
I talk about this every day, even when I'm not on the radio. Our country cannot move forward with this administration. Look at what they're putting. They're putting this guy that wears a dress out there that has supported Hamas, that doesn't believe that we should have police, and China and Russia are laughing at us. And last week we saw Putin and Kim Jong-il together riding in a car, you know, that Putin, I guess, had given him over in North Korea. The bad guys are coming together and they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us. Right. And then we've got you know, a Russian nuke sub playing war games by Cuba. I mean, I live in Freedom, Florida. You're most of the time, you know, in the villages.
Right.
This is right here. I always thought New York was going to be the target, or D.C. Well, I think it could be Florida at this point. So it's out of control. Our military's a mess. Now they, you know, it's so funny. I'm sure you saw some of these articles. They want to draft women, you know, and people are freaking out. I don't want to draft anybody because your green hair and your nose ring isn't going to fit into the military. I want people that have a love of country and the Constitution to join the military. But how did this creeper, who is, doesn't want to give Israel any money, how is this guy now in a position of power? I mean, people are laughing at our country. There's no moral compass in the White House. They're doing whatever. And you're right. Who is running it? I mean, I've heard Susan Rice. I've heard Obama. Now you're saying this Ann Dunn.
Anita Dunn.
Anita Dunn. And I blame Dr. Jill Biden because she doesn't want to get off the stage. I mean, it clearly looked like the president was pooping in his pants in Normandy on the stage. What was he doing? I mean, it's embarrassing. And then X had a lot of for some reason, I don't know why, but Barbara Streisand, I call her Barbara Wawa, and Rob Reiner and Stephen King, massive. And yesterday, Mia Farrow. Oh my gosh, the libs. I don't know why. I don't follow these people. They pop up in my feed, and they're just like, Trump is the devil incarnate, Barbara. That our country's going to fall apart. I don't know how much further our country can go. And I mean, we got to finish talking about the debate, but we got to talk about the border too. I mean, don't you feel like if we don't win in November, I think our country's over.
It's a very scary. It's very scary, the thought of what could happen in the future. But let's kind of put this down on the basic level. What does we all have different views on abortion and whatever, different topics, okay? We all have various views. But what do we all want, every one of us, and what affects every one of us? What affects every citizen in the United States of America from a baby to someone that's 100?
Well, we all want safety, jobs. Security. We all want health care. We want safety. Education and safety. Well, and that's our number one. Safety.
Because no matter if you're a baby or you're 100 years old, a job can affect some people. Abortion rights can affect some people, but everyone needs to be safe. And if you have if you have a border that's just wide open, well, a nation is not a nation. Donald Trump said it very well. A nation is not a nation with an open border. I mean, so the thing is, but everyone is affected with this open border, and it's not just a Texas problem. It's just not a Arizona or California problem. It's a nationwide problem because all these illegals are going everywhere. We have a immigration system in this country that we should be using, but we don't.
Well, it's out of control. There's like a Mexican NASCAR driver that became an American this past, I guess, Friday, and like he was crying, and I wrote, "This is what legal immigration looks like. It's beautiful."
Right.
Illegal That's immigration right. And killing a 12-year-old in Texas that you've lured, that you strangle and you rape. This isn't beautiful. Killing the college student in Georgia. That's not beautiful. Killing that mother of 5 that was out trying to work out. That she looked amazing. Killing her, that's not okay. So I don't know where it stops. To me, this is one of the number one issues. I was in New York visiting my family, and I spent 6 days up there, Barbara, running around, and I started interrogating the poor Uber, Lyft, and they have Revels. It's a bright blue EV. There's like 300 of them in New York, and most of the drivers, they're legal immigrants, and they'd had enough. Because now you've got all these illegals getting everything under the sun and taking over, and you got to have all their kids in the school system. There's just the hospitals are full. They're just done with it all, Barbara. There's no room for them anymore, and they've worked hard and paid their taxes and not killed anyone.
So exactly. So I think I agree with you. It's the number one issue is this illegal immigration. And let me give you some stats on this, that it's estimated that illegal immigration is costing each household in America about $1,000. That adds up to more than $120 billion a year. But actually, Newsweek reported that it's probably more like $150 billion annually. Okay. So the thing is, and then they're saying that since Biden got into office, more than 7.2 million people have streamed, illegals have streamed it to the United States of America, but most estimates are it's probably closer to 10 million. That number surpasses the population of 36 states in our country.
Well, Trump has said he thinks it's as high as 15 million, and that's the thing is that I'm all for vetted.
You're all for legal. We're all for legal.
Yes, because I don't know who you are. Legally. I've got
exactly.
I've got two homes, Barbara, that have gone up down the street from me, and the framers and the roofers they're all Hispanic people, and I've never been a prejudiced person. I'm Hispanic, but I'm like, who are they? When I walk my dog early or late and they're still out there, I don't know who you are. And so that's the thing. I know Governor DeSantis has worked hard for E-Verify. If you have an illegal that
yes.
you can get fined $10,000. But I'm telling you, people are still hiring illegals. They're still hiring illegals. I go near my Home Depot. They're hanging out there all day long in the parking lot, and it's uncomfortable because I don't know who you are. And now they're saying there's all these gang people, that have come through, and we're seeing this. I mean, the breaking story today is that 12-year-old was assaulted for 2 hours. This is an American 12-year-old girl. They assaulted her and raped her for 2 hours. How is this okay? And then Mayorkas was on, I forgot whose show he was on. They were asking him about the woman that was killed with the 5 children. He didn't even know her name. The mother, her name's Rachel. So they don't care. And then I think about that college student in Georgia. She was just out for a jog on her college campus and gets killed and raped. It's out of control, Barbara. For me, it's the number one issue because I don't know who these people are.
Absolutely number one issue. And, remember back in the day when we were kids, we did that little thing on a piece of paper. It was connect the dots. You connected the dots. It became a picture. Okay, think about that. The people need to connect the dots. This is very simple, and I don't think a lot of people do. And it all goes back to the Biden administration. Connect the dots. Why are teachers quitting resigning from teaching in record numbers? I think Oklahoma has 7,000. They need 7,000 teachers in the state of Oklahoma, I think it is. Okay, so look at the teachers. Look at the police. A record number of police officers in California are resigning, moving to Idaho. We know a record number in New York are resigning and moving to Florida. Why don't police officers want to be police officers anymore? Because they really can't a lot of times arrest anyone, and if they do, because of the laws, because everyone can get by with everything now, right? So you have police officers don't want to be police officers anymore. Teachers don't want to be teachers anymore for various reasons, but one of the reasons is how many teachers do I know that teach and they'll say, I have 30 kids in my classroom and 10 of them don't speak English because of this illegal immigration, right? But the Biden administration says you have to take in these kids. So it's just whether it's the kids at the school, and then how about the welfare programs? All the welfare programs that in America that we set up for good reasons, some of them not good reasons, but okay, well, who's getting these programs now? The illegals. I mean, and the illegals, if you think about it, most of them operate everything in cash, correct?
Yeah.
They go to a job, they do a job, and it's cash. So are they paying into our system? No, they're not paying any taxes into our system.
Well, and you see it because I, was asked, it was like about a year or so ago, it was a Cuban girl, and the school has to have 15 Spanish speakers, the elementary school, to have a ESL, English as a Second Language teacher. So my friends asked me to go help this cute little second grader, and she fled Cuba, which is a little different. But I was amazed because here was a second grader sitting in the school all day, with nobody that spoke Spanish to her until I showed up once a week. I mean, granted, she was going to learn English quickly, and I tried to motivate her, but it was crazy, and I can't imagine having classrooms full of it. And I've seen in Boston, like they've taken over in areas that are poor districts where they have their YMCA, they've taken it over, and it's only, illegals are allowed in there now. And where are these kids that have hard knocks in our society going to go?
Right.
And that was a funny thing. We had a black cab driver, the final one, the final Uber driver to LaGuardia to fly away out of New York. And he was done. He was done. The liberal Democrat black cab driver that had only ever voted Dem didn't want it anymore because everybody's getting stuff for free, and it's not an American anymore, Barbara. So when is enough? And then not to mention all the times that an illegal drives drunk and kills an entire family, or goes the wrong way and does a head on, and another kills people, maims them. It's just out of control because especially like the Georgia guy, the killer that killed the Georgia student, he'd been arrested. He should have been out of the country. And we had one recently that had been, I call him a boomerang illegal. He'd been back like 12 times, arrest record everywhere. The one that killed the mother of 5, he'd been all over the country, Barbara, all over the country. They're doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I know.
It's definitely the number one issue. And then I guess, this is going to come up at the debate. And I bet you, I'm going to, if I was in Vegas, I would wager this might be probably the most viewed debate ever, because I think you're right. The Dems are pushing it up so early because he's probably going to crash and burn. But if you watch the State of the Union, he was high on something, and he screamed the entire 90 minutes that he talked last time. So that could happen. But I'm like, he's going to be, this is the other thing that's going to come out. How will Trump handle this? Because now he's a supposed, I've got air quotes you can't see, a convicted felon now. And I was just this weekend at a Kid Rock concert and a Jason Aldean concert in Mobile, Alabama. It was called Rock the Country. And it was absolutely glorious. I was so excited. Congressman Matt Gaetz actually introed Kid Rock, and it was kick-ass. It was so patriotic. I think America, we're going to be voting for this convicted felon. So what say you on this, Barbara?
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's what it is that we have, I mean, we can't vote. If the people that go to the polls and vote for Biden, I just don't understand. I mean, I hate it. Well, number one, Trump was our past president, Donald Trump, was railroaded. I mean, and most people, anyone that knows, unless they're living under a rock, can see the demonization, or the whatever you want to call it, of the Department of Justice. I mean, every one of our government agencies has been compromised by the Biden administration. I mean, it's from the Department of Justice to the FBI. The FBI years and years ago used to be, I think, a really good agency.
Yeah, I agree. We trusted them.
Yeah, the FBI. Who help me out? Who was the first FBI? Who started the FBI? Basically, I'll think of it. But back in the day, the FBI was a fantastic organization. That's different now. The Department of Justice, it's all politicized, and it's all whatever.
Edgar Hoover.
Edgar Hoover. Whether you liked him or not, I mean, he wasn't the exact beginning of that agency, but he was at close to the beginning, and that FBI did a lot of great things, I think. But now it's just everything is political, and so Trump, what has happened to Donald Trump is just like a third world country. I mean, this is exactly what they do over in other countries that is actually happening now in America a lot. And the other thing is what happened to him. It's so if we have to vote for a convict, I guess we're going to, and they're going to use that. But the thing is, we cannot vote for Biden, because with Biden, the Constitution doesn't matter. And the Constitution, if we do not abide by our United States Constitution, we are toast. But the Biden administration, they just do whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it. The hell with the Constitution, the hell with any rules that we have on the books that we've abided by since the beginning of this country. We need to get back to how this country was founded. And the Biden administration has taken us so far from that it's just life in America.
I think it started under Obama, because when Obama came into office, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be done with race issues. It has been worse than ever, okay, with the race issues. And I mean, I'm still not prejudiced because I grew up in the melting pot of the military, but I feel like if you're white, people hate you, you know? And so it's just out of control. One of the stories I wanted to get back to too was Jillian Michaels. You're huge into fitness. She's famous for doing fitness. Yeah. She was just in the news sounding off on why she left California. And you know, she's a fitness woman, lived there her entire life. And let me tell you this quote. I grew up here. I'm a woman. I'm gay, a gay woman. My mom's a Jew. My dad's an Arab. I have a black kid. And believe it or not, my son's half Latin, even though he doesn't look like it. I hold 1 million cards in your game of woke victimology, poker. And when I leave California, maybe you've lost your effing mind. Just maybe. And she continued on. She's like, some of these laws that are passing here are absolutely effing mind-boggling. In relation to crime, protecting our kids, like we're decriminalizing everything. I mean, California is out of control. You know, she talks about, you know, the gender, letting kids decide their gender before they're 18. And so this is a liberal woman that now lives in Miami, because she just moved to Miami, Barbara, because she couldn't take it anymore out in California, because this woke ideology is literally insane. I mean, I was just in, it was funny because Mobile, Alabama, you know, it's more country than I would say gay pride. And the whole time I was there for 3 days, it was a gay pride. They had gay pride stuff on a gay pride special menu. And I'm like, I don't care. You can be gay. That's fine. But I'm tired of this. For a month, I have to deal with this in my face. Yet 4th of July is coming up and we get a day, you know, or a Memorial Day or Veterans Day. We get, okay, 2 days, you know, our dead veterans and then reflecting on those that still live. It's gone so extreme that even this liberal gay woman is done. She's done. She's done that. She moved to Miami, to Freedom, Florida, Barbara.
I know. It's, you know, it's a quick little story. I was on a bike ride the other day and came across this couple, and they asked me where I was from. I said the Villages, and then I said, well, where are you from? And they said, we went around in our RV for 5 years. We had South Dakota plates on our RV. And I said, well, where were you before you did your RV for 5 years? They said, well, and I looked at them and I said, oh, let me guess, California. They said, yeah. They did not want to tell me they were from California.
They were embarrassed.
I said, well, you know, Gavin, this is here in Boise, Idaho, where so many people from California are moving to Idaho because they're getting out of California. And they did not want to say they were from California because they know the people in Idaho are saying, oh, you know, because
please don't come here.
Red states are fearful that people are going to move here. It's fine to move here, but we're fearful that they're going to bring their politics with them. That's the problem. We don't want Idaho or Florida to go blue. But having said that, also, let's talk about follow the money a little bit with California. In California, which is, as I think you agree, the go-to or the go green movement in California, and residents pay 29% higher than the U.S. average on their electric bill out there. 29%
no,
higher.
I've heard that. I've met people out there saying how ridiculous it was.
Yeah, and it's the second state in our nation with power outages. The most power outages from 2019 to 2023, they had 221 power outages, and their solution is to tell people to use less electricity. That's what they're saying. Just use electricity. Even though they want EV vehicles, they're saying use electricity, less electricity. And then their other solution is they're going to start rationing energy. The government out there is going to be telling you how much power you can use and when to use it.
Okay, Barbara, I've lived in a third world country, and when I was a lieutenant in Panama, guess what? They would turn off the electricity for 12 hours a day, and sometimes I'd work at night and need to sleep in the day, and I couldn't run my air conditioning when it was 100 degrees because it was off during the day. So we're becoming a third world country. Not to mention, I think California's budget deficit. I think they're like $35 billion in the hole.
Yes. Yep. Whereas Florida is, we are operating in the black by a large number.
Always.
Right. So with our criminal justice system, third world country. What we just said, third world country. I mean, and this, everything you read, the Biden administration and the liberals and the Democrats always talk about a global society. We want to be a global society. And they want us to be like Europe, where you go from one country to another, you pass through the borders. And I think it's gotten a little bit different with what's going on in Ukraine with that. But they just, whatever's good for someone in Mexico, I'm making this up right now as far as just an example, whatever's good for someone from another country is good for us. It's no longer, Veronica, let's take care of ourselves here at home. It's America first, United States first, citizens of the United States first. This is where we live. This is our country. This is our home. This is where we pay taxes. It is the America we love that the Biden administration is turning into making this country something we don't recognize.
Well, are Americans going to wake up? I've been saying that. I'm tired of taking, I don't know. I had a preacher on here recently, and we discussed it. It was a black Democrat that became Republican in the last couple of years. And, and I'm Catholic, and one of the things is that we have to help these people. But at what cost when I don't know, they're coming across the border, we don't know who you are, not to mention ... how many Chinese men are coming across the border that, don't tell me all of these people are coming across just because they want to come be a framer. I think we've got a bunch of terrorism that's going to be happening in our country as well. It's just, I've lived in a third world country, Barbara. I don't want to live in a third world country, and we are becoming a third world country. I'm telling you.
No, absolutely. And, it's interesting, if you go to a nail salon, which I go to a nail salon, get my nails done, any of these people that are doing your nails at the nail salon, they are extremely disturbed by what's happening in America and people that were from Cuba back in the day of the boat lift when their families left Cuba with nothing and they came to America, these people are extremely, because they lived in, whether it's Vietnam or any communist country, Vietnam, Cuba, you name
Venezuela.
People that have come here legally and have a job and that you come in contact with, they are extremely disturbed by what's going on here because they know what a communist country looks like. They lived it. And that's what's happening.
It's horrible. And if you've ever seen real poverty, which in America, we've got EBT cards, people on welfare, they've got things. When you've seen real poverty, people don't have things. I don't know. We are definitely going downhill, but it's also, as you were mentioning before, it's going to impact our education system. It's going to impact our healthcare systems. Because if you've ever gone to an ER, you used to live here in Panama City. One of the hospitals is where all of the illegals go to. So if you have an ER situation, that you don't want to go to that hospital because they're going there for their daily care. And normally when you end up at the ER, like me, I've cut my foot open and I need a tetanus shot and I want to get it today. It's an emergency situation or somebody's got a concussion and these people are going for routine care to the ER. So,
Right.
what
Right.
other issues do you think they're going to talk about at the debate? I mean, I think the economy, because a lot of these poor people that we're talking about that are Americans, I know several people that have multiple jobs because they can't just get that full-time job, and they're blue-collar jobs, so that they've got 3 jobs trying to make it, working at a restaurant as a waitress, working at one of the stores I shop in. They're working so hard trying to make it, Barbara.
No, I agree. Well, they'll everything. They'll want to take everything back to January 6th. They'll want everything to circle around back to that. Number one. Number two, the thing is, if you like, for example, what was it? 2 weeks ago, he says, "Okay, I have signed legislation today that's closing the border or changing."
Yeah, which was such BS.
Oh, it was. So when you looked at really, if you take away the sound bites that you're getting on whatever news you listen to, if you really drill down on what he really did pass, or I think he passed X bill, let's say, it's a joke. It's a total joke. And every time he comes on the TV and talks about something, Veronica, it's live. If you fact check it, I mean, a lot of times you don't have to fact check it. But it's live, and actually there are actually people that believe it. And unfortunately,
because most people that you and I know, they're not involved in reading the news 24/7, or when it comes, and I'm sure this happens to you. Every election cycle, I get Veronica, send me your list. Who do I vote for? What are the amendments? Because people don't want to get into it. But if we don't win in November, I just can't imagine with this Tyler Cherry as, a comm director that wears a dress. This is how we move our country forward. We've got to take it back. And this election, every single time I thought we were going to have a red wave, but people, they barely come out to vote, Barbara. They barely come out to vote. And then who knows about election integrity? And then when you think about, somebody contacted me this week or last week. So I've got a J6 wife whose husband has been in prison, wants to come on the show, and I've had an author that wrote the Chronicles of the Gulag. These people have been rotting to death in the jail with awful food, no health care. Some have killed themselves because they couldn't deal with it anymore. And then you see Hunter Biden, he finally gets convicted, but I think that's a distraction to all of this. His dad's going to pardon him. He hasn't suffered one iota, because people like this that are lying every day, they're funneling all the money to themselves, and all of these bad people are getting away with murder, honestly.
Right. Agreed. Well, with regard to the election, two things that have happened in society which are really terrible. In the end, we know how terrible they are. And one is what's happened to mainstream media, legacy media, any mainstream media that other media
they're
that's
all awful.
Owned by legacy. They're all. So if you remember when you grew up, I don't know how it was in your town, but where I grew up in the small town of Evansville, Indiana, we would get a paper twice a day, the morning paper and the evening paper. And back in those days, back in the 50s and 60s, I don't know about the 70s, but 50s and 60s, maybe into the 70s, that it was journalism. They were reporting the news. It was not someone's opinion. It was not someone's agenda. It was not someone's narrative. They reported the news. All the way back to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was calling out the media way back then. And then, ever since then, other presidents, except for the Democratic presidents, of course. I don't know, Clinton might have called them out one time, but for the most part, a Republican president is calling them out because mainstream media is doing whatever the Democrats and the Democratic people in office want them to report, and whatever their narrative is and whatever their agenda is. And then you have, like you said, about 50% of the population that doesn't pay any attention to what's going on in our country, even though everything going on affects every one of us, they will spend time looking at TikTok on their phone, or spend time vaping or smoking marijuana or playing games on their phone. When I travel across the country from Florida to Idaho twice a year, back in the day, people were reading a newspaper, which they don't now, that's fine. People read their news on their phone. But so many people, I go down the aisles in the airplane and look and see what people are doing on their phones. A ton of people are just playing games on their phones. I mean, my point is people do not invest in knowledge of what affects them every day, which is who you are voting to get into office, whether you're voting for a county commissioner, whether you're voting for a mayor, or whether you're voting for the governor. Just think about the great state of Florida. If Gillum would have gotten elected over DeSantis, oh my gosh, our state would be, I don't even know what it would look like. I mean, Governor DeSantis has been such a blessing for the state of Florida. I just can't say enough about that. But the point is, it's so key of who gets elected. And if you look at all these people that are Fannie Willis, let's look at all these attorney generals. I mean, you can AOC and the squad.
Did you see her this weekend? That's all over X. X has become they have all those videos. She's screaming like a crazy person. So I wrote on several of my tweets were like, well, we found out whose little white baggie that was at the White House, because obviously she was coked up this weekend. She was out of control. Well, that's the problem, is how do we get Americans to pay attention to the real news? Because when you're dealing with all of this legacy fake media, Communist News Network and MSNBC that push out lies, they all have the same little, they're very united, because they all have the same talking points, like cheap fakes. Those videos of Biden are fake. No, they're not. I watched them live. The man, and here's the other thing. Out of, I don't know, 330 million people, however many people we are in America, this is who you push forward, that his wife can't put him in an old folks home. The man is not even coherent. And like you said, he's not running the country. I mean, it's very scary. Who's running the country? And like our Department of Defense is a mess too. And I still have some friends that are, generals that are trying to do good things, but I can't even imagine being in this military right now, where it's okay to have, men that are women and women that are men. And then, if you go down what's happening now in women's sports, and where are the feminists fighting for women? A man that becomes a woman is not the same body. And I fight about this every week. So, and this administration. This administration is to blame for all of this. And then I love it now too. One of their talking points is that, because I follow Kamala on Instagram and the White House also on Instagram and on X, and they're pushing that the Republicans want to take our birth control away. And I'm like, no, we don't. We don't need more of you people. We'll give it away for free, Barbara. Oh my God. It always starts with this baloney, So I don't know. It's just crazy. I'm trying to think of any other hot issues that we'll probably hear.
I mean, the hottest issue is illegal immigration. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, that's definitely number one.
And going back to what you're saying about the Chinese nationals and all these thousands and thousands of Chinese nationals coming here, that is, if anyone thinks anything, well, let me rephrase that. China is our number one threat as far as outside of the country. I mean, China wants to be the superpower. They want to control the world. And if you don't wrap your head around that, of what that could do to our life in America as we know it, you better, because they have I give China a credit from this standpoint. China has a plan to become the superpower in the world. They work their plan meticulously. They are infiltrated into some of our school systems. One of them was in Orlando, Florida. About a year ago, they communist teachings in a private school in Orlando, Florida. Thank God Governor DeSantis got wind of it, shut that down. They were getting money from China, but you can Google and the paper that I read that I encourage people to read, Epic Times, amazing
Yes.
paper. Yes. And they had an article in there about all these schools in America that China has convinced them to teach communism. And I thought, I can't believe this is true. Looked it up on the internet. There's schools in Kentucky. There's schools, not a ton of schools across America, but there are schools across America that it's follow the money. China, just like China pays all these professors at Harvard, Stanford, whatever schools, they've destroyed our college system with all these professors taking money from China and then doing whatever, China wants them to do. But the Belt and Road Initiative by China, where they're going into all these other countries, these poor countries, you go to Jamaica and you go on a tour in Jamaica and they say, oh, yeah, this expressway is compliments of China. It's all the master plan.
New York Post has talked about this before, but it was just out again that Chinese owned farmland near 19 U.S. military bases. So Patrick Air Force Base is where my family lives, down in Satellite Beach, Cocoa Beach. They own by Patrick Air Force Base. Guess what? Space Coast. How convenient. Then they own Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. Guess what? That's where we have nukes. How convenient. Yep. So, once again, why? Why? In Hawaii, they own property. MacDill Air Force Base, one of our training bases here down the road in Gates Country. Or, I'm sorry, down in Tampa. They own down there. Why? Why do they? Because I know DeSantis now doesn't allow Chinese to buy.
Well, it's just like they have naval warships in the Bahamas, and then with what they're doing in Cuba. So they have a presence in the Bahamas, they have a presence in Cuba, and going back to what you said a while back, earlier in this conversation, you said that you were worried about New York, now you're worried about Florida. Yeah. They are right off our coast. I mean, Fort Lauderdale or West Palm Beach,
they're right there.
You can be there,
with a sub.
In an hour in your own boat.
With nukes on them.
And in Key West, you're closer to Cuba than you are Miami. I mean, so this is really, really scary.
But nobody's paying attention. What is Biden, what is he doing? He's forgiving. How many times did he forgive the stupid college loans for your damn basket weaving degree? Like every time he turns around, every week it's that, and then why? I always feel like there's like a distractor. Why are they putting this Tyler Cherry that wears dresses, this story that's pro Hamas out there? Why? So I just feel like we're distracted from what's really happening. And if we don't win in November, we are so screwed. I just hope that Thursday night Trump comes out there, Barbara, and he's calm and presidential. And when Biden starts with the you're a felon or the J6er crap, he just, that I've trained a lot of high level people to do hardcore interviews. And when somebody asks you a question you don't want to answer, you just answer with the response you want. Like, I'll be the best president. I'll secure the border. And I do hope that when he comes in, that the J6ers are all pardoned. And I'd love for him to give them $5-10 million because they've been rotting in prison with the worst treatment ever, no health care, awful food. And it's just been horrible. But we live in a communist nation. Who does this? And then Soros is going after Barbara. I'm sure you've seen it too because you're in tune. He wants to buy up all the talk radio, shows and things. So who knows? Are we going to be able to get our message out if he owns he buys up all the conservative talk show stations? It's very scary.
It is very scary. And, people... If people did not vote, the thing when you ask people why they don't like Donald Trump, they don't like his personality. They don't like how
all the time. Oh my gosh!
And you know what? I'd be totally fine if he didn't tweet. I'd be totally fine if he didn't call other politicians or other people names. We don't need that. We don't need the name calling. We don't need the tweeting. But at the end of the day, this is what matters, Veronica. This country, if people looked at this country as a business, and it's a huge business. And if you have the manager of a business, let's say you have your business and you put a manager at the top, and the manager can make your company go bankrupt, right? And that's exactly what's happened with the United States of America. We have a manager at the top that has surrounded himself with people that are terrible people that think of nothing but making their lives better and the lives of all the elites better. And what happens is, if our country, Veronica, doesn't go bankrupt, I will be shocked, because that's what we're doing with printing endless money and printing it and spending it. They are driving us to bankruptcy. And
and what about these illegals get everything? Free health care, free housing, free stipends for food. I be coming here too. I be coming here too.
Yeah,
and so what are your thoughts on, because Trump has said he wants to deport people. I'm fine. I'll deport you. Here's a $10,000 credit card and we drop you off back in your country. I feel bad. I feel very unchristian that I want to do this, but I'm just concerned about all of these murderers, asylum people that have been let loose. I don't know who you are, and the fentanyl coming in, the child trafficking.
Well, Veronica, if you do something illegal, you're going to go to jail. Let's just say you commit a felony. You're going to go to jail, correct? If you do something illegal, okay. So if you are coming here illegally, is illegal. So they should all be deported because they are here illegally. We have a process to become an American. Now, does it take 6 years or not? I hear now it takes 9 years. But the point is, we have a pathway to be a United States citizen. If you wanted to become a United States citizen, you need to follow that pathway, not the pathway of the cartels. So Donald Trump is right. These people need to be deported. But, I mean, and we need to close our borders. That is the root.
Well, I desperately want our borders closed, and that if you come here to be a migrant worker in a field picking oranges, that you have a worker visa.
A program for that.
And I know who you are. So, and then
the program is called HB1 visa. We have a program for people to come here and work.
Yeah,
we have that program as well. Yeah. And how would you feel, Veronica, if you were a rancher in Arizona?
Oh, I know. It's horrific.
I mean, they are scared to death. The ranchers that live down there, they're scared to death. Their property values now are zero because of all the illegals that cross through their property every day.
I've had Sheriff Lamb on. It's scary.
We are again compromising what's best for United States citizens. Every day, by that border being open, your life is compromised. Everyone's life is compromised because of what happens with an open border. It's horrific.
And one of my mottos, always be packing, because I don't know what's going to happen, you know. And last fall I was over at the outlet malls in Destin when 3 Hispanics decided to shoplift in the Izod store, and one of the ladies engaged him, and I was not packing that day. And let me tell you how scary it was, because I don't know who you are, and what, you know, and the woman went after him. So I've told this story now several times. It was very scary. So what do you think? Do you think the debate, back to the darling debate on Thursday, which we will all be, past the popcorn. I like my popcorn with bacon and jalapenos in it now. Crispy bacon. Do you feel, I feel like they're pushing Biden out because if he doesn't survive this, which I really hope he doesn't, they're gonna push somebody forward. And so some of the chess pieces that people are pushing around on X are Hillary will be the prez. They'll offer Kamala the governorship of California. They'll bring Newsom over to be the VP. So these are some of the chess pieces I've been reading about on how they're going to move. The whole thing's horrible because I couldn't stand Hillary in her pantsuits the first time around, and I can't even imagine dealing with her, which, you know, she just came out in her muumuu at the Oscars and everybody was clapping because she's so wonderful. But she's just as bad as all of them. They just have no candidates. But I do feel like this is why they're making the debate when it is this week.
I agree. And I don't know. My vote would, my thought is Gavin Newsom. If I had, if someone said, who do you think they're going to insert in, if it's not Biden, I've said for months and months and months, I think it's Gavin Newsom, even though he says no. He looks the part. He tells the lies flawlessly, just like Biden does. That's who I think it would be. It would be Gavin Newsom. But
then fast forward to, who do you think Trump's going to select as the VP pick? Who do you like?
Well, I thought the Virginia, is it Youngkin in Virginia?
Yes,
right?
Governor Youngkin.
I was really hoping he would select one of the Republican women that I like, because so many people like to check boxes, Republican and independents and liberals.
Well, I love Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's on my list.
I think that'd be fantastic. I think that'd be just beyond fantastic, because there are some people, independents. So many people now are independents. And really, the liberals are going to vote Biden most likely, and all of us that are conservative are going to vote for Trump. But who are the independents going to vote for? And I think we could sway a fair amount of independents if we had a female. But
I've been saying Tulsi Gabbard too, because she's left the Dems. I heard her speak this past fall for 45 minutes.
Fantastic.
I mean, the only thing is she's not. I don't know her pro-life stance, but at this point, we've got to have fighters in there, and like you said, we've got to get the Dems on our team. And she also checks that military box. She loves guns. And she definitely, she's come out against the Dems. So, and sometimes people run wherever they live because that's the territory, even though they're not fully a Dem.
He did such a great job, in my opinion, of who he picked the first time around. I thought Pence was a perfect vice president in many, many ways.
Yeah.
So I really trust him to make the right pick, because I think he knocked it out of the park the first time around.
Yeah. Well, Pence is, I agreed. I liked Pence because he was a calming force. They're saying that Governor Burgum from North Dakota, because he's a billionaire, I've heard him speak, but then again, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a white man, and then DeSantis, but I know there's issues if he comes from Florida that they have to juggle, and Rubio also, that he's got to pick from another state. I'm not into Tim Scott. He's constantly on all the national scene. Not my guy. I think he's a nice guy, but not for that position. I've seen this weekend on X, they were pushing Ben Carson. He's another Switzerland, but he's tough and smart, and he checks the black box. J.D. Vance, I don't know that much about J.D. Vance. I don't know if he's my go-to. I mean, I do like Rubio in that he's seasoned, and DeSantis, I think Rubio and DeSantis, they'll dish it back. I just wish he'd pick somebody. I hate having to wait so long. I liked Vivek. He's an excellent fighter, and he was always supportive, but he's kind of a new Republican to the scene. I don't know how long he's been a Republican per se, but I think he would be good in some sort of, fighting position, maybe comm director, not wearing a dress.
Yeah, I think I love Governor DeSantis. I like Marco Rubio a lot. I think we got to have somebody different because I think Governor DeSantis is very much like Donald Trump, in my opinion. Yeah. I think we have to have someone different. I think your point, calming. Pence was a calming person. I think he was the best vice president we ever had. He worked more than any other vice president I think we've ever had. And he was just the good, opposite of Trump, in my opinion. I think we need a person like that's different than Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Well, Barbara, we've been talking for almost an hour, and I will have to have you back because these are the conversations you and I have on the phone anyways. And it's been I miss you up here in the Panhandle, running off to, the villages, and then you're up in Boise, Idaho, because it's been 102 here, my girlfriend, and it has been way too hot for us in Frida, Florida, and the summer's just beginning, really. But what a pleasure having you on Veronica Live, and I definitely want to have you back because you understand the fight that we're up against.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Veronica.
All right. Thanks for joining Veronica Live.